going to be going through the various aim training methods that are contained within Overwatch to give you some perspective on what is actually useful and what is basically pointless. So, first off, there's the main menu. You gotta understand that training is pointless. Like this whole section is pointless because practice range is basically it was designed in like 2016 as more of a training. It's more like a lobby just to get your settings right. Practice versus AI, similar. It's just basically pointless. There's no parity between this. It's basically completely different to playing quick play or competitive. So there's no real value in it. Playing competitive or casual has some issues where you're gonna be too focused on other things besides your aim. And even playing deathmatch is going to be kind of bad because even though you are playing against other players, there's a bunch of other factors that go into having good deathmatch skills, such as like positioning, cooldown usage, extra stuff which you don't really want to be focused on when you're just doing aim training. So really, that just leaves you with custom codes. So custom codes are brilliant because they've been specifically honed for specific uses. And not only have they been specifically honed, they've been specifically honed by good people. So like actually skilled, intelligent people, right? Who know what they're doing when it comes to aim and stuff. So the first thing is VAXTA. VAXTA is the most common code and it's mid-tier, I'd say. It's better than nothing, but it's a little bit ambiguous in what its use is. So you can see you have two things. You have warm-up and then you have challenge. Challenge has a series of levels, and the way that challenge works is the longer you survive and the more you kill, the harder the thing, the more pressure you have to deal with is. And then warm up is just like there's no pressure, you're just shooting people. So let's just go into warm up first. So as you can see, there's a series of settings. You have activating bounce house, bot movement, like speed and the sort of strafe patterns. And this is pretty hard. Like this is actually difficult, and it can be useful in the sense that like this is kind of what a skilled player is gonna move like, right? So if let's say you are just like a plat player and you want to experience trying to aim at like a masters or a GM player, this is like an okay kind of simulation of that. Okay? And then you also have these extra settings, which is your kitsune, your speed boost, your damage boost, and your nano boost. So these are also kind of pointless. They're useful in the sense of if you're not really used to shooting in kitsune, it can give you like a little bit of a, not necessarily a warm up, but like a space to get used to it without like being in a game and therefore like maybe fucking up. But besides that, there's not really much use. Same with the speed boost thing. It's just it gives you a speed boost, and it's like okay, it's cool. Then besides this, we have the challenge, and as you can see, you'll see as I just continue to shoot people. Basically, I'll start getting pressured by things like junk tire, Ryan fire swing. I think even you can get Hammond mined. As also, there's like you're basically trying to just survive. Now, what this is trying to do is simulate pressure that you'd experience in a game, right? So you're trying to survive just through your raw mechanics, right? And therefore, it's kind of like a game, but you're focusing more in on just mechanics, right? And you know, not that much game sense and stuff is going into it, so you don't have to worry that it's like you're being bottlenecked by your other skills, right? That's cool, but I think there's a much more effective way of doing that. So the other two, so ignore tracer aim, ignore these two, not these. Ignore tracer aim. I'm gonna go into realist and iostux. So realist is by daichin. It's code ZHTDA. And iostux is made by iostux. It's JPYHG. So iostux is better for what I was saying earlier, where you're trying to simulate the idea of pressure. Okay, so if we play this, you'll see. Basically, it's trying to make you feel sort of anxious whilst you're playing, and it does this by increasing the speed. And this then like stimulates you because you're having to basically aim better, react faster, be more smooth, all the kind of various aim requirements and mechanical requirements, whilst also still being in the game and also mirroring your skill level, right? So as you'll see, I'll go up in the speed levels and it will just get harder and harder and harder. And this is kind of what the VAXTA challenge mode is trying to do, right? But this is just kind of superior because the actual requirements of your aim just is way harder on this. In VAXTA, the requirements for your aim is pretty minimal. Whereas with this is like, you know, it can get super hard. So as you can see, I've gone it to 200%, and at this point, this is just like crazy. Like this is some seriously difficult stuff. And this is just not really possible with VAXTA, right? So if you're anything above like a beginner, intermediate, advanced, pro, whatever, it's gonna be much more beneficial to practice this. And also, there's some added benefits to the iostux code that you don't see in VAXTA. So if you see in the top right, you have a series of toggles which let you practice certain things. So D plus F, so that's force strafe. So if you can see, if I just keep strafing, it's totally fine, I don't die. But if I do, if I stop strafing, I die, right? So look, I die. Now, you also have A plus F, so like, if I jump, it's totally fine, right? Then if I have it enabled, I die. So these are both really good for sort of incentivizing certain behaviors. Because if you don't know, not strafing is basically the worst thing to do in Overwatch, and also jumping a lot is also basically the worst thing to do. So like this is like the worst kind of movement pattern you could do, right? Like just kind of not really strafing that much. And then this is the ideal movement pattern. It's just strafe. Okay. Now also there is Control plus F, which is bot launching, and that's what causes the bots to go in the air, right? And then auto reload, that's just kind of benign, that doesn't really matter. Now that's basically how that's all of the iostux aim trainer. And I would say the iostux aim trainer is the best if you just want raw aim, right? So if you want to use Overwatch more as like an aim training device, because like it's free and it's not like a super demanding game, then yeah, just use iostux. That's a brilliant, brilliant strategy. Now, here's if you want to use Overwatch to get better at Overwatch, right? Daichin realistic, but daichin realistic aim trainer is going to be much, much more specifically tailored towards playing Overwatch and getting good at Overwatch deathmatch. And you'll see what I mean. So basically what it does is it creates like a normal custom game, just in any map, right? And then it lets you sort of fiddle around with some settings and customize a specific sort of scenario for you, right? So in this case, I'm just going to remove all of my enemy bots. Oh, sorry. I'm going to increase the enemy bots and I'm going to remove all my friendly bots. Right? Now, what this then does is it creates a realistic scenario to what you would see in a game. Right? So this is like pretty much what most casual games are going to look like, with the exception of obviously the players are going to be smarter in an actual casual game, and you won't be literally immortal, right? So in this you are immortal. You can change that in the settings, but yeah, you probably don't want to. Now, the benefit to this is you get to practice in a real map, so you get used to actually shooting the actual angles, right? So as opposed to just an empty arena where it's just an abyss, in this you actually get used to like a real life sort of space. Then also on top of that, you get to they don't change their speed, right? So that's kind of a bad thing, but it's also a good thing because you actually this is how their movement patterns are going to be in an actual game, right? And then also on top of that, if you want to play a projectile hero, so let's say Echo,
I am always ready to learn.
It's going to be much more apt to your experience because a lot of projectile heroes, the aim required for them is quite weird, right? So because it's so weird, it's hard to kind of reproduce it in a like isolated arena environment. So if you were to try and like improve your echo aim through Kovacs, that's not going to really apply because first off, the actual projectiles themselves have their own unique pattern and like their own special behavior, right? And then also you have to remember that the characters have like different move speeds in different games, right? So if I'm playing TF2, I can get really good at using the rocket launcher projectile in TF2 against like a scout, right? But that doesn't mean that my echo aim against Lucio is going to be any much better. Like, you know, I might get better at the fundamentals of it, but the specific skill set that I'm practicing is different between those two games. Because both the enemies that I'm shooting at are different, and also the tools that I'm shooting with are different. So that's pretty much it. I would generally suggest either using the iostux or the daichin aim trainers. I do believe there are others. So I know daichin also has some Ana aim trainers, which are specific to using Ana abilities and that kind of stuff. And I'm sure there probably are even more things which like you can use for specific heroes. Stuff like using specific abilities or training, for example, Dragon Blades or something. But I think for the majority of players, these two are going to be the real bread and butter that you need in order to improve your deathmatch mechanics. Outside of actually deathmatching. And like I said earlier, deathmatching just by itself can lead to some issues because your game sense also plays a part in that. So your mechanics aren't really getting as tested as much. Like, for example, let's say you are really, really bad game sense wise, then your mechanics aren't gonna have the space to shine. And then on the other hand, let's say you're really good game sense wise, well then your mechanics are getting kind of diminished in a sense because you're only taking fights which are like really easy, or you're always in an advantage, so your aim isn't like getting stimulated. So that's all I wanted to talk about. Thank you for watching.